Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 35. I have another wonderful guest this evening. But before I get into him, the introduction of him, I want to do some house cleaning. 12facesofsober.com. You can get a signed copy of my book that I wrote. Like I said, it's about my journey, my road to recovery, and all things in between. And you can get the hoodie like this, well, not this one, but you can get the camo. This is the older line, but you can get the camo hoodie. I got t-shirts. I have tights for ladies. I got workout shorts for ladies. I got a little bit of everything, as well as you can get the book on Amazon. You can get an ebook. All you got to do is type in 12 Faces of Sober and you can get the book. And be on the lookout. I am in the process of getting an illustrator right now. I've done business with this guy before. He did the logo for my business cards, for my DJing business. And so we're in negotiating stages of that. So hopefully, like I said, I can be able to get him on board and get the children's book done, as well as I'm still working on the Army book. Let me tell you, the Army book has been a challenge only because I've been trying to forget all of what happened to me in the military. But with the good thing about being sober, the memories are coming back. So it's like I've been fighting myself, like, do I want to continue to write and talk about these bad situations or ignore them and not do it? So that's been the challenge, but please look forward to both of those being completed and in a bookstore near you, online or on my website, hopefully by the summertime. I would say the goal is by my birthday. Just seems fitting and marketable. So be on the lookout for that. And like I said, if anybody is interested and would like to tell their story, all you got to do is reach out to me at 12 Faces of Sober, 12facesofsober@gmail.com. You can reach out and like I said, you can definitely join the podcast like Dave is doing. The purpose of 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast is more or less to give entrepreneurs, authors, I've had professional athletes tell their story, and as well as in sobriety and clean time. It's all about, being able to get your voice out there, and because you never know who it's going to actually help. And like I said, today's guest is no different. And yesterday he celebrated an anniversary, not a complete year anniversary, but he did celebrate 27 years and 10 months clean and sober. And so we've been following each other, give or take now, just shy over a month and a half. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I really do appreciate this gentleman because of the fact that he's reached out to me probably by far more than anybody else has within a short time span. And I appreciate that because it's almost like he can sense when I'm having a rough day, and he'll just shoot me a message. And this is no lie. And I just wanted to say that I really do appreciate it. And like I said, my guest is Dave. And so how we're gonna do this first is, I want you to come on, introduce yourself, where you from, again, how long you've been clean and sober, and what were some of the things that led you to just say, okay, I'm done. The good, the bad, the ugly. We all want to hear it. And so I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit and go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Welcome to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast.
I appreciate you, Kenneth. My name's Dave. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, which is part of New York City for those who may not know. As Ken said, I've been sober for 27 years, 10 months, and 1 day now, or a couple of days, whatever it is. My actual sober date's April 16th, 1994. What got me sober this time, because I'll get into that, I just had enough, man. I looked in the man in the mirror and I said, "You stupid son of a bitch, you're doing it again." And I walked out the bar and right back into AA. So that's how I came back in this time. I was first introduced to AA back in 1988, and the way I got introduced to that was through, I like to jokingly call it Hotel Silly, which was a nut house, a mental institution. And the only thing I did in there in the 10 days I was in there was make one meeting, and that's where I met my first sponsor. So in a nutshell, that's who I am. That's where I came from. That's how I got started. And I can go further on into that as we go on, if you like.
Okay. Now, did you mentioned that you said you walked into a bar and realized, okay, so were you having how long did you struggle with alcohol and drugs? Like, what was it, like just something, because I know and also thank you for your service. Now, was that something you did when you were in the military, or was that something that carried over once you got into the military?
It's funny you ask that, Ken. Thank you for your service as well. The reason I went into the military, I joined the military at 17. That was 40 years ago. I'm 57 now. The reason I joined the military is because you used to see the commercials, we'll make a man out of you, we'll teach you responsibility. By the time I was 16 years old, I was a full-blown drug addict and alcoholic, because I started blacking out, passing out, not knowing how I got home, doing things I didn't want to do. So I said, let me join the military, and off to Georgia I went. And that's where I ended up staying for the next 4 years. And I knew in the military I had to watch my P's and Q's, because, you get your Article 15, I didn't want to get dishonorably discharged. And something in my brain clicked and said, look, you did this for a reason. So let's toe the line. I mean, not that I didn't drink and drug in there. I got in a little bit of trouble, not bad. I mean, Article 15, I got busted down a rank. And other than that, I skated through. I got out, and then I went into the reserves for a couple of years and got out of there with a general discharge. So that's the military actually helped me curb my alcoholism and drug addiction. And prior to that, like I said, by the time I was 16 years old, I mean, I think I started drinking for effect at the age of 12.
Mm. That's the same year I started drinking, was 12. That's really interesting. Now, to touch on the military for just a second. Now, would you say, because obviously, we were both in the Army at different, different times.
Correct.
Now, my experience with the military was, it was in, not so much that it was encouraged, like, you got your first sergeant or your platoon sergeant or somebody saying, hey, let's go drink. But there were instances where it was like, okay, now are we still in the military? Are we on a college campus?
Yeah.
And like, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that, because like I said, see, now you said you went into the Army at 17. See, I went into the Army 29, 2 months away from turning 30. So I already experienced the college life. I experienced the partying. The college I went to was at that time, maybe a year or two before, was one of the number one party schools in the country back in either the late 90s or the early 2000s. So I got a chance to see that lifestyle. So once I got into the Army, I was like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be that disciplined lifestyle. I'll be able to stop drinking. No, it was like, okay, it's the weekend, let's go drink. And then it went from not just being the weekend, it was like, okay, we're going to drink while we're at work. Okay, we're going to drink, it didn't matter. And so I guess my question is that, was that something that you experienced when you were in the Army, or was it, because like I said, each soldier has a different story, but it does some of them sound to be the same.
A lot of them sound to be the same. You see, I try to be that straight and narrow guy for a little, and I did that for a little while, and not a long period of time, maybe a couple of months. I mean, because I did a 1 station unit training. For most people that don't know, my basic training and my schooling was on the same base in Fort Benning.
Okay.
And then I got stationed there as cadre. That's when they were trying to institute drill corporals, which I said, that ain't never going to work. But I'm like, all right. So I went up through the ranks pretty quick than the first year. But like you said, man, once basic training and schooling was over, it was a regular job, man. You went, you reported, you did your duty, and after that, you were free to do what you wanted to do. I mean, yeah, we have regulations. You had to be back on base by a certain hour, but the weekends were mine.
Mhm.
And so I don't know how I caught it, but I started hanging out with the wrong crowd again. But somehow in the back of my mind, I remembered why I went in there. And like I said, I got a couple of Article 15s for failure to report to duty, for drinking on duty. You got a problem? Yeah, but they never sent me anywhere. You know, I skated my way around it. I found the loopholes to get through it. You know what I mean? But yeah, the party life was prevalent. The NCO club, shit, it went down every night and every weekend. It just wasn't the weekends. The DIs, yeah, they used to come and say, come. I remember when I first went in, they sent me to a reception station in Fort Jackson, and a female lieutenant colonel, she came up to me. I'm still in skivvies now. I ain't got issued my greens yet. That's how far back I go. And she goes, come on, you come on with me. I said, no, I'm on duty. I can't leave my post. She went in, got the DI on the desk, and they got somebody else, and she pulled me out and took me to a bar. I went, damn. I'm not even like fully vested in it yet. Got no uniform, nothing. This is my reception station. So it started from the jump. You're right.
And it's interesting that you said that the Article 15, because I got an Article 15 in 2011 for being drunk on duty. But like I said, see, I was a cook, and they basically, it was a weekend shift, and people were talking trash. It was a lot of people drinking that day, but I was the only one that got in trouble. And I wasn't gonna tell on anybody because I felt like, you know what? Hey, I was the one who got caught. I'm the one that's got to deal with the consequences. And luckily, I didn't get bumped down. I got 15 days of extra duty, and it was only a company grade. So it was like, okay, it didn't travel with me. But like I said, I was so scared because I thought that my career was over once they put those handcuffs on me, and I had to go sit in the holding tank for a couple of hours. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, because what also is important to me is that, because like I said, we're both veterans, is that a lot of times people don't get that opportunity to hear that side of it, to hear like, okay, that you have a higher ranking person that's grabbing you and saying, hey, let's go drink. And you're thinking to yourself, like, this ain't even what I'm, I didn't sign up, you know what I'm saying? At least not this early to go drink. So that is definitely a good thing to hear, because like I said, everybody thinks that we just throw on the uniform and we'll work, and then that's it, and there's nothing else. But like I said, and I don't know for sure if you had if they had that program, but they had sent me, after I got in trouble, they had sent me to the ASAP program. I think it's the Army Substance Abuse Program or something like that. Yeah, so I did that. I mean, I was pretty much in that program for the remainder of my Army career, which was good because I got out of work, so I didn't have to work as much. So I mean, so you did your career, you did the reserves. So when was it that because I know you mentioned before we started recording that you stopped before. So once you finished the reserves, did you continue to drink after that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I went in and I was in the military, what, a combined 6 years, I think. I got out in 87. And like I said, it was October 9th of 1988 was when I first got sober. So like once I got out of the military and I came home after I did my 4, and then I joined a reserve unit here in Brooklyn, all bets were off because I'm a weekend warrior now. I can't get in too much trouble. And I progressed within that short period of time. I think I got home, I want to say it was August of 87. So a year later, I had different types of handcuffs on me rather than from MPs, and then I ended up in the hospital. I tried to commit suicide, and that's how I went into because in the state of New York, if you try to commit suicide, it's against the law, and you're a danger to yourself or others. And they sent me to a mental institution. And I remember sitting there that night, and the psychiatrist comes in, and I'm handcuffed to a wheelchair. And he says, "Why? I got to ask you a couple of questions." I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And he goes, "Well, the first question is, why are you here?" I said, "Because I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict." And he just went back a little bit. He goes, "Well, how do you know that?" I said, "I wouldn't be sitting here answering your questions." And like I said before the recording, I was in there for 10 days. And in those 10 days, the first 3 days, first 72 hours, you're on suicide watch, so you're on lockdown. You can't do nothing, even though you're in a lockdown ward anyway. I couldn't go eat with everybody else. But the first week, because this was on a weekend when I got put in there. So it was almost at the end of my 10 days when they finally allowed a meeting to come in. They had AA and NA. NA didn't come in the week I was there, but the following week, that weekend, I had a whole week had passed that weekend, and I was just getting ready to get out, and a meeting came in, I think, the night before. So that's what I did. I went to that meeting, and this guy came in. His name is Frankie Bowe. He wouldn't mind me saying his name. May he rest in peace. And I'm like, this guy's real. I went to AA. I was solid for a good year. At the 14-month mark, I was 14 months sober. It was December the 20th of 1989. My mother passed away. My world shattered. Everybody in AA was alive because you all told me she was going to be okay. I lost my connection with God because he took my mom, and I was an angry son of a bitch, man. And I didn't deal with the feelings. I don't know how I stayed sober another 5 months after that, but I did. But then I tried going out. I went out. I bought a 6-pack of beer, came back home. I had a bottle of 800 milligram Motrin. This is my best thinking. Motrin, dude, they're a muscle relaxer. My heart's a muscle. So I'll down a bunch of them and drink beer. Motrin's overblown aspirin. I didn't know that at the time. So what I did was proceed to get sick in the middle of the night. I got up, I went back to AA the next day. I went out 5 times in the first 6 years before I got this. I kept doing that revolving door.
And then, so you mentioned that the first time you had went to AA was during the time you were basically on that psych hold.
Correct.
And did that lead you to continue afterwards?
Yes, it did. See, I mentioned my mom when she passed away. My mom was sober already when I went into the psych ward. Okay. So it's through God's grace and her prayers that I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Okay.
You know, I knew I had a problem. I just never wanted to admit it. So going to that meeting also, because then you could smoke too in the meeting. That was another reason. And you got cookies and whatever they brought in with them. But I knew in the back of my mind, and because I always had my mom picking at me, you know, you got a problem, we got a seat for you. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So she was already in AA, knew about AA. She used to live brochures and pamphlets around. Do you think you're an alcoholic? The 40 questions or whatever, they've all changed now since I've been around. So I knew. So yeah, like I said, I had all good intentions from leaving that place to staying in AA. The mistake I made, I think for me, for this alcoholic and addict, is they told me to do service work and get involved. So I said, all right, there's 7 days in a week. So I got a service commitment every night of the week. Look how good Dave's doing. Because God forbid you knew what was going on inside me. I never did my 4th step. And I think that's what took me out. And I say this all the time. I don't know why it was, because it says fearless, but yet I took the word fearless and I put fear in that. And what am I afraid of? It wasn't the 4th step, it was the 5th step for me that I was actually afraid of, because in the 5th step, it says that I have to admit to God, myself, and to another human being. I don't want to tell nobody about me.
Right.
Now, God already knew, and I already know. Who knows better what's going on with me than me? So like I said, I never did that for the first 6 years. When I came back, April the 16th, April the 15th, I went out. I walked into the bar. The bartender slid a beer down the bar. I said, shit, it's going to hit the end rail and tip over. So I grabbed it, snatched it up, drank half of it down, went to the bathroom, washed my hand up, looked in that mirror, and I said, you stupid son of a bitch, you're doing it again. I walked out. I said, I'll see you later. And the next day, I came into the program, and my sponsor, my second sponsor now, we had a clubhouse here in Brooklyn, and I'm sitting there with my head down, all feeling bad about myself because I did it again. And he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I drank." So he said, "How much?" So I told him, half a beer. He goes, "You what?" He goes, "All right, stand up." So I stood up. He goes, "Turn around." I'm like, "What?" So I turn around and he kicked me in my ass.
Mm.
And he goes, "When are you going to do the fourth step?" I said, "Let's do it." And I did it right that day.
Mm.
And then he said, "Now, come on, we got to do your fifth step." And I said, "No, I'm not ready to do that." He goes, "Why? I already read your fourth step, so you just did it with me."
Mm.
That's the way it worked for me. I've done other ones since then. I'm not one of those guys who constantly goes through the steps. I try to live in 10, 11, and 12. You know, I take my daily inventory. I try to improve my conscious contact with God, and I try to carry this message to the still suffering alcoholic or those who may be in the room struggling. Since then, I've become a chaplain in the state of New York, a crisis chaplain. So I've been trained to handle crisis, and who better to handle a crisis than an alcoholic? Because that's all my life was a crisis. And I made it that way. So I can't blame alcohol or the drugs because I'm the one who put them in me.
Right.
So that's what happened with me. I came, I looked around, I said, "Yeah, okay, this is good for you." I'm out the door. And I did that 5 times until finally I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, those little cliches you hear. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to kill myself," because it got worse and worse and worse and worse from when I first came in. It just kept getting worse because in between that, I got myself locked up and was facing 8 1/3 to 15 years for a crime I didn't commit because I was hanging out with the wrong people again. So I said, here we go again. It's a slippery slope and I'm sliding down it. So yeah, when April the 16th of 94, I said, that's it. I had enough. And the way I did that was I was going, I got arrested and I was already went to see the judge, and above that judge's head, it said, "In God we trust." And on the banner for the AA group, I went to, it said, "But for the grace of God." So I looked up, I said, "Okay, God, I got you. I get it." And that's how I got it. That's why I say it's through the grace of God that I got this, because he carried me to where I'm at today.
That's I salute you. I mean, I definitely salute you on that because, like I said, we just mentioned, like, my mom is one of my biggest cheerleaders. She didn't struggle, my mom doesn't drink at all. So, but she witnessed the alcohol abuse that my dad endured in the 80s, and I was growing up in the 80s, so I saw it. And so, I could just imagine, if and when that time comes, how will I deal with that? And I'm not gonna lie, it's played in my mind. It's a part of life, and it's one of those things. So to hear you, to share, like I said, it's key and it's vital. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you, the information that Dave is giving is not just someone who, like myself, that has 5 years. This is someone who has a little bit more time under their belt, that has a better understanding, regardless of if it is a 12-step program or if it's just maintaining sobriety. He's giving you a version of him in his sobriety journey and what has worked for him. And that's what is key for me to post these videos, because I want people to kind of just take bits and pieces from each interview, see what works, and apply it. And if it doesn't work, then you go to the next one. And then you see what works and what can help you. Because like I said, I'll be honest, I had I spent a night in jail in Phoenix in 2008. And when in Phoenix, excuse me, and I went back to Minnesota. My mom was like, we don't know what to do with you. I think I was like 27, 28, and go to AA. And so I went to AA, in Cottage Grove. Big shouts out to Cottage Grove. They don't the AA house is no longer open, the Landon School, but just big shouts out to them anyway. I went there. There were a lot of times where I might have walked in there intoxicated, or I might have been walking out, and my goal and my mission was to get to that liquor store before it closed, because at that time I wasn't ready to stop drinking. And in a lot of times, there are people in the room that's like right there on the fence. It's like, you got family, you got friends, or you got, it's court ordered. Now you got to go to AA, you got to get the signature just so you're there. But like I said, it doesn't matter how you got there. It's what you do once you get in there.
Exactly.
Listen to the stories and how you can relate the stories. And that's where, to me, was like, I'm not alone. That you know what I mean? I'm not, there's somebody else out here who has problems. Because before it was just like, it's just me. I'm the only person that's going through it. And that's what helped me. But despite, like I said, it took a while. So from 2008 to all the times I continued to struggle for 8 years, it took me 8 years to understand it and to get it. But I know, and even like you said, I was, not so much trying to take my life away, but I was trying to get right, get better.
Yep.
But it just, I couldn't, because of all the things that was actually going on in my life. The abusive marriage, the post-military life, finding out I had diabetes, the changes in my body that I didn't notice when I was in the military, because it's a constant, you're nonstop moving. So a lot of times we don't know we have these injuries until we like completely just stop, So definitely. Now, you mentioned a couple key things that I didn't know. Now, you said you're a chaplain, and so
Yes, sir.
that was that something that you found yourself, giving back, just as you say, the service, the service part of it, because like I said, I mean, that's something good too. That's an accomplishment, because like I said, you're helping others, and it's definitely key. Like I said, you have the years under your belt, so people need to listen. People need to listen and respect it, because it's like, what you're talking about, because just of that. So how does the chaplain play into your sobriety and of what you got, what you're doing today?
Well, good question. I appreciate you asking that. Like, I want to touch on something you said, though. AA is not the only way to get clean and sober, or NA. And COVID has shown me that, because here I am with you on a Zoom meeting, and we're recording this to put out to the world. When I first got sober, to do this was a big no-no, because you had to be anonymous. No, I recover out loud now. That's one thing. I found in the last 2 years with this COVID crap, and I call it crap, but I believe it is whatever it is. I don't want to go down that avenue, but everything's shut down. Even churches, and I'm like, I'm left to myself. I'm like, uh-oh. And I said, well, wait a minute, don't go there. You're never alone, David. God's got you. He brought you here. So that's where the chaplaincy thing came in for me. I started going, I work for a bunch of Franciscan brothers in the Catholic denomination. I'm their maintenance guy. So I started going to church every day again. For me, this is for me. And some people get sober through spirituality or through religion. Spirituality and religion are two different things. But I went back to my childhood teachings, to my church. And I started going every day. And I started hearing the word of God. And I said, this can apply to my life, because I have to remember when I first got sober all those years ago, I got with a group of people, and we used to do 12-step studies out of the Bible. And I went, so that's how it touched me. And I don't know why one day I said, you know what? I need to take this further than just AA, just NA, just CA. I'm the 12-step contact for my church. I was the chairperson for my group, but still shut down. So my pastor came to me and he says, what can we do? I said, well, why don't we do an outreach? And he says, okay. He said, well, you're the 12-step contact. I said, yeah, but I want to do it in a spiritual way. So I went and I talked to a few people about it, and I didn't want to go completely into religion. See, as a chaplain, I have to be open to all denominations and all beliefs. I have to adhere to my own belief, though, and not step on that, which I keep up front. But I'll skip down the street with you to whatever way you want to get recovery. whether it's through church, whether it's through mental health, whether it's through therapy, whatever. That's who I am today. You know, AA is just not the solid answer. So the chaplains, I just felt the calling. I got goosebumps now, my hair's standing up. I'm like, all right, I'm not this holier than thou person, but I said, when I look at the steps in the program, the 12 steps, how many times does it mention God? I mean, right from the jump, it only mentions alcohol once in all of them steps, the first step. So that tells me alcohol is not the problem. The program also taught me that I suffer from a spiritual malady, a physical and a mental one. So our big book, which is, we call it the big book, it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. It states in there somewhere, because I used to be a big book dumper. I thank God I can't remember everything now, because now I got to go back and read it more often than not. It tells me that there's going to come a time and place in my life that my recovery depends upon my spiritual condition. And the way I stay spiritually fit is through my religion. So thus the reason I became a chaplain. And I said, I want to take this out there. So I reached out to a couple of different people. What can I do? I volunteer for Catholic Charities whenever I can, and I help them out. But I want to take it out further. Wherever that may be. There's another guy on IG. I don't know if you know him, Mike, from Inspire to Aspire. I try to hook up with him. Yeah, he's going to move. He just came back today. He's going to move out to Cali now. So where there goes that avenue, unless I can hook up with him before he goes back and maybe take over what he was doing here. I don't know. I let God guide me,
Right.
you know, but
I actually just talked to him maybe right before we had got on, but right before the interview, I spoke with him. So I'll be having him on the show probably sometime either this weekend or sometime next week.
yeah, he's a cool dude. He's great. And he got all of these opportunities to go out to California and to Indiana. He went, and I said, well, go. What I want to do with you can be put on hold. He goes, yeah, but I want your help with this and I want your help with that. I said, okay, fine. That's great. Whatever I can do to help, because that's what I'm supposed to be of service today. Not just in a 12-step program. Spiritually, and my gospel tells me that I am a servant of the Lord, and I need to take the word of the Lord out there, and that's what saved me, because I wouldn't be here. I don't understand why people have a problem when they come into the program when they see the word God. I just don't get it, because if I was driving down the street in New York and a cop car pulled up behind me, what's the first words that came out of my mouth? Oh, God, please don't let him pull me over. Or if I was sticking my money through a hole in the wall to get something, some goodies, God, please let it come out and be good. Oh, God, please don't let me get sick. I always went to God when I was out there. So how hard is it? And I understand people have a problem with the word God. Well, if you worship Allah, if you worship Buddha, whatever it is, so long as it ain't you, you know, so that's where my spirituality took me and my chaplaincy is taking me. And I want to expand on that and learn more on that. And I feel that's the way I can be of more service, because also being a chaplain, I can get into a lot of more places as to just opposed to being a recovering alcoholic. I can open up a lot more doors, hospitals, jails, institutions. It's funny you mentioned that a lot of vets like us don't know about this I was on the Hospitality and Institutions Committee for a while, and the local VA hospital here is a lockdown ward on the 15th floor, and I used to take meetings up there every week, or alternate every week. So I try to carry the message to veterans too in that way, you know, and my number's still there. Whenever you need, call me. You know, you need to go to a meeting, you need to just sit and bullshit, have a cup of coffee, talk, whatever. You need a couch for a night, because I can't forget where I came from. I've been homeless on my own choice when I had a place to come home to. I chose the drink and the drug and being out there in the street life more than I chose my own self-respect, my own self-worth. You know what I mean? I forgot everything the military taught me. You know, yeah, it taught me how to be a man, but that went right out the window as soon as I didn't have a commitment to them anymore. Hell, it went out the window when I got in there, when I seen it was acceptable, you know? I just feel strongly that I need to do more. I don't know why. God's put the brakes on me right now. And I'm like, okay, because I was going too full force and losing the focus on myself. And I can't do that either because I know what happens when I do that. Then I go to try and find myself, and I think myself is out there somewhere. Is there another drunken high in me? Probably. Is there another recovering me? I doubt it. I don't ever want to have to go down that road again. And I pray to God that nobody else does.
That's deep. That's deep because I all I can say is that it's like I said, I mentioned this early in the introduction that that our stories are different, but then it also has similarities. Like I said, I was in a homeless shelter in Phoenix for 45 days sober before I went back out and went to Minnesota, and I was on the binge until I can get a bed at the VA. So big shouts out to St. Cloud VA for saving my life. I really do appreciate it. But like I said, there are veterans that don't take advantage of that don't take advantage of the resources that we are qualified, if not old, and like I said, I took advantage of it, but I fought it because I chose to. Initially I was going to go to rehab. Like I left my ex-wife, and we were still married at the time. I left her, I think it was June of 2016, and my nephew, I paid for him to. She didn't even know. She had went out. She had went out partying. This is how slick I was. She had went out partying. My nephew flew in. I literally packed up whatever I could in my car, and I dropped him off at my brother's house, because my brother, he still lives in Phoenix. And I was like, all right, we're gonna leave. So she somehow came back after like being gone for like 2 days, but she didn't even realize that I was gone until I was literally in Minnesota getting ready to pull into my mom's driveway. And she was like, where are you? I said, it doesn't matter. Now she could have cleaned the whole entire house out. I didn't, like I said, I didn't take everything. I only took what was most important, which was my shoes and my clothes. I left everything else. I did not care. I wanted to leave. But then I was tricked, to go back. She needed me. And and like you said, you mentioned it. Sometimes you got to think for yourself and do for yourself. And I went back, and then I struggled for a couple more months. And as I said, I went to the homeless shelter. And then one day, I never forget it. I was laying in the bed after taking medication. I think it was Antabuse. I was taking Antabuse.
Yeah.
And for that 45 days, I was in the homeless shelter. And the very first day I got kicked out of the homeless shelter, first thing I did, went and got something to drink. So drinking. And I think I had went to the casino that first night. The second night on the same binge. And then I think I woke myself up, and then I just started throwing up in the bed. And I was like probably by far the most sick that I'd ever been from throwing up from a night of drinking. And so I called my mom. I said, look, I gotta get out of here. And then she was like, but you can't drive. We know that you're not going to be able to drive from Phoenix to Minnesota. I said, I'll just leave the car at Anthony's house, my brother, and I'll just come get it, later. It's like, right now, I just got to get out of Phoenix. And, but like I said, I did other stints in rehab. That one, the last one was my third one. But like I said, I told myself this time, I was like, I don't care. Whatever, I just got to make sure I get through it. I'll listen to it, I'll participate, but I got to make my own program. I got to make this work for me, because I've already been in these rehabs, and got to do it this way. And I'm like, but what if I tried it that way and it didn't work? And just like you said, I mean, and it's, there's not one way better than the other to maintain your sobriety or not. It's just a matter of waking up each day knowing that, okay, you're not going to drink, you're not going to do drugs. That's what it's the importance of it is. If you have to go to a meeting, go to a meeting, because I've learned that, I'm kind of a person where it's like I got comfortable at that AA in Minnesota. So it was like, it's kind of like I didn't want it, same way like with a church. I don't like going to new churches. So it was like, all right, well, I'm no longer in Minnesota, so I'm not gonna go. And I'm gonna tell you, since June of or July of 2019 up until now, I think I've been through, you know, had Zoom calls and stuff like that, but to actually have meetings, like going to physical meetings, I haven't. And I just don't feel comfortable with going. But I know that I can get on here and record a video if I'm frustrated on social media, and it's my outlet. And then to be able to interact with people like yourself, because like I said, it's a constant, you know, no matter what time of the day it is, you could be struggling. And all you need is just to reach out to one person or post something and get someone to respond to that post. And so that is key. And then you mentioned something early. You said when when you had your 10 days, you said you found your sponsor. Was that, you said, right after?
Well, that was actually in the mental institution. He was on the H&I committee, and he was the speaker. So he came in with the chairperson, and he told the story, and I'm sitting there, and I'm going, yep, yeah, and I could identify with him, and I didn't say, well, this guy's not as bad as me, because they say identify, don't compare in the rooms, you know. And I said, all right, this guy's real. I got his number. I went up to him after the meeting, got his number, came out, and I contacted him, and I started making meetings, you know. And then after about a week or two, I asked him to be my sponsor, and he said, yeah. I outgrew the man, unfortunately, because he was a little short, bebopper, with his hat on the side, you know what I mean? And he knew where there was a sober party every weekend. So he taught me that there was life after not drinking and drug. And I went, okay. So I did that for like 90 days, 6 months maybe. And I said, but what are these 12 steps up there? I'm in a 12-step program, but I'm not doing any of them. So I politely told him, I said, look, you can still be my sponsor, but I got to find what they used to call a step sponsor. You know, so I asked another gentleman to be my sponsor. I thought he had like 50 gazillion years. Ended up he had like maybe a year more than me, but he took me through the steps. And but like you say, it's like, I always say this, and people go, why do you say that? It's not right. No, it is right. We are different people. You know, what keeps me sober may get you drunk. You know, like how many meetings I need to attend. There are meetings within walking distance of me that have opened back up. I've hit, I can probably maybe a dozen in the last 2 years. I found this new outlet, Instagram. I'm part of plenty of sober communities on Instagram, on Facebook, and it's like you said, the word comfortability. I've gotten comfortable to sit at home and get on a computer because I can still interact like I'm doing with you. But in the back of my mind, I know if I really need that in-person meeting, or I need that physical touch, it's there. So every once in a while I do, and I do go back and I check in.
Okay, that's a good thing. Now, okay, I got a question, but I'm gonna, you know, reword it a little bit. Now, how important is it to have a sponsor or have someone that can hold you accountable? You know, that's kind of, you know, somewhat two separate things, but it's a similarity, because see, like in my case, my sponsor, she's, I would say 85, 86. She'll text me. I haven't gotten a text from her this week, but I'm sure I will get one from her. Now, she gives it to me in terms of, like you said, AA, but not everybody is choosing that route. But as long as the person is still maintaining the clean and sober life, does it make a difference?
To me, it don't. See, I never liked the word sponsor, because you watch commercials on TV. What are they doing? They're sponsoring that show. You know, I'm not a show. I'm not an item. You know what I'm saying? So accountability is key for me. It's big. And total honesty, brutal honesty, you know, is a big thing for me. And I like to call it, I need to have somebody to call me on my shit. You know, I got at least 5 people that know when I'm talking to them on any given day, Dave, what's going on? you're full of shit. And they'll call me on it. And some of them ain't even in the program.
Mm.
They're not even sober, but they don't have a problem like I do.
Mm.
They don't break out in handcuffs and end up in nut houses or rehabs or detoxes.
Mm.
But they know me because I'm real with them.
Mm.
So if you want to call them accountability coaches, life coaches, whatever you want, I learned that again now on here on IG. I'm like, oh shit, what's this thing? Life coaches and everything else. One dude reached out to me. He was 25 years old. He had 6 months of sobriety. I said, and I'm not judging, but I said, all right, I'm going to humor you. He was, well, why you use that word? I said, I'm sorry if that offended you. What word would you like me to interject? I said, can I ask you a couple of questions? He goes, yeah. I said, so you run a life coaching business with recovery? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, you haven't been married? He goes, nope. I said, well, I've been married and divorced twice. I said, you got any kids? He goes, nope. I said, well, I do.
Yeah, see, yeah.
He goes, nope. You ever been in jail? Nope. Every question I answered, it was no, no, no. And I said, so now, what are you going to coach me on?
Right.
What life experience do you have? You know, I need somebody that's going to call me on my shit. And I don't need to put a label on them. You're my life coach. You're my sponsor. No, you're my friend.
Mm.
You're a fellow human being.
Mm.
That is the most important thing I learned when I got sober, is that I'm a human being. I am not infallible, and I'm going to make mistakes.
Mm.
Even with 27, almost 28 years, I got today.
Mm.
God granted me today.
Right.
You know,
and I make the best of today. Yeah.
I used to say, they used to say, count your days. Now I say, I make my days count.
Mm.
I try to be better than a little bit better than I was yesterday. And sometimes I fall short on that, but I'm aware of it today. And I realize that A, I don't got to drink over it. B, I ain't got to drug over it. B, I don't have to put myself down over it, because life is still going to happen, people. Mm. Whether you get drunk, whether you stay drunk or whether you stay sober, life is still going to happen. That's why they got that saying, life on life's terms. I hate that saying, but it's the truth, brother. Right. I'm not immune from it. Shit's still going to happen. See, I told you my mom died when I was 14 months sober. Well, in sobriety, in these last 27, almost 28 years, my dad died 9 years later. Mm. And I just realized this not too long ago. I wasn't that much more sober than when my mom died. My twin sister, my better half, I'm coming up on 8 years that she passed away. Mm. 7 years, I'm sorry. In April, it'll be 7 years. She died right before her 50th birthday. My father died in my arms. My sister died holding my hand. Mm. Now, if that ain't a reason to drink, I don't know what is, but it's not a reason, because I learned that lesson when my mom died. I went and I drank and I chose to try and kill myself. And what happened? My mom's still gone. I hate to use the word died, but that's actually what it is. She physically died. Spiritually, she goes with me. Right. I carry her in my heart. I carry my father in my heart. I carry my sister in my heart. And then if I feel that bad or that depressed or whatever, and I say, well, I need to go get a drink, I remember them. Would they want me to do that? Nope. And they're not even physically here. So they hold me accountable too. I got people and I got guardian angels that hold me accountable. And that's what works for me. Some people go, really? Yeah. Early sobriety, I used to go sit down by the water because I didn't know who God was. And I used to just sit there and listen to the waves crash and think. To me, that's what do they call that? Meditating. Mm. I took martial arts for many years. I could never get it down. Sit and meditate. No. To me, meditating is listening to what the next right thing is to do. And I'm gonna tell you, like, cause it's almost, it's like I had a vision of this conversation before, and it was like almost like there was certain things. It was like I knew that you were gonna like touch on, that I was gonna have something of a type of response. And I will share this, and this is, I don't know if I've shared it on any of my other shows, but I think this has been 2 years. So 2020, my grandmother on my dad's side, she had passed away, last living grandparent. The good thing
is I was able to see her in 2017, and I saw her sober. And through those last few years before I got sober, she was like, you know, I just want to see you. I just want to see you sober. And because, like I said, she knows that my dad, my dad drank for so many years. She lost some of her, brothers or my great uncles to drinking. So it's not just like, okay, one person in the family. It's one of those things that was hereditary. And the one thing, and there's been a few instances and situations that I really contemplated drinking, and that was one of them, was when she passed away. Not more so of that, it was because I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. And that's where it was like, okay, but you guys don't understand that, I look dead on my father. I'm like the legacy within the family. Like I hold, like, I'm that son or relative that, has made a difference, got, the only male Watson with a bachelor's degree. I met the first male Watson with a master's degree, made a lot of mistakes, but now I'm trying to do better. And it tore me apart to one loser, and then not to be able to go because of disagreements with the family. And so I have to live with that. But also, as you mentioned, the guardian angels, is that I believe in that. I regardless of a religion, I just believe in guardian angels because of the fact, like, I could still be out there. I could still be out there drinking. I could still be homeless or had money in my pocket, but living in a homeless shelter, giving out my debit card to people. So let me tell you, what you just said, it hit everything. And I definitely want to say I appreciate you sharing that. Now, you mentioned some of the things in terms of, what you're doing today, helping others, but what do you do to, in terms of taking time for yourself? What are some, other activities that you're doing to keep yourself busy?
I'm pretty much a plain Jane brother. I mean, I go to work, I come home, and sometimes I don't jump on the computer. I've learned that I can get addicted to this thing, to this IG and stuff. And so I've learned to pause, and everybody's using that word pause now on IG. I was taught PACE, positive actions changes emotions. So I need to change my emotions and to slow down. Then pause. Okay, I get it now, because see, I'm still learning. I came from my drinking, I stayed from my thinking. And it's okay to relax. It's okay not to go to a meeting. It's okay not to interact with people every day. Sometimes you need a day for yourself to suppress, to depress, whatever you want, let the steam off, whatever you want to decompress. That's the word I'm looking for. I do that. I go to church every weekend. I'm in church. I'm in service at a church. In my church, I'm the head usher there too. Besides, see, being a chaplain, I'm not in service in that way in my church because my church doesn't recognize it, but yet they had to give me an ecclesiastical endorsement in order to become one. So I'm like, all right, you're confusing the hell out of me, but I get it. But I enjoy that. I enjoy going to church and watching other people happy and saying, hi, how are you? And meeting strangers and greeting them and welcome. I do that for me. And then one of those people that I'm accountable for is a woman in my life who is married. I know her husband. He's in the Air Force now, serving us. And he's away, and she's an usher in the church. And I got her involved in the church. And her and I normally, we go out and we get a bite to eat, or we invite other people to come with us, and we do that. I learned that it's not all or nothing today. I don't just recovery. No, recovery gave me a bridge back to life. I have to live my life.
Right.
In whatever way that is, going on vacations, spending time alone, whatever. I mean, I'm not into physical fitness. I need to get back into it. But I see that's a big thing. And that's another way that people stay recovered through physical fitness. Whatever I need to do at that moment is what I do. If I feel like I need to jump on a meeting, I jump on a meeting. If I feel like I need to come home, kick my shoes off, go make myself something to eat and binge watch something on TV, I do that too. Because That used to bother me in the very beginning, being with myself, being alone. I have to realize today I'm not alone. I'm either with my best friend or my worst enemy in myself. And I'm never alone because of my guardian angels and my higher power. And they tell me it's okay, Dave, relax. Do what you got to do what makes you happy. I like going to concerts. I like going to ball games. Now it's the winter, so we don't do that here. You got it better down there in Panama City, brother. Mikey went out to California. I'm hooked up with a bunch of people on the West Coast. I'm like, I gotta rub it in some more. Everybody's on the beach. I enjoy doing those things, and I look forward to doing them in the months to come, to going on trips. And I want to meet people, and I reach out to people, and I'm, well, where are you? Oh, I'm in Connecticut. Well, you ain't that far. And then recovery. We ain't got to go to a meeting. We can just meet up. Hey, how you doing? Give each other a hug. Let's go get something to eat. Let's go shoot the shit.
Right.
Those are things I do for myself, and I enjoy it. It's because, like I said in the very beginning, when I first got sober over 33 years ago, I got too involved. It's not all about that. I keep a forefront in my mind in order to have a good life today.
Okay. All right. Well, we almost at the end, but you know, Dave, I wanted to say I really and truly do appreciate you coming on and sharing a portion of your story. I know for sure that it has touched me because, like I said, you know, I respect those who have longer time than I do. And like I said, for you to be my first guest, to have that and then got a couple extra more years under your belt is even better because, like I said, it's not only going to just help myself, it's going to help others and inspire others to try whatever you can.
Exactly.
You know, just try different ways and find what works for you. If it is AA, if it is NA, if it is church, if it is coaching or whatever it is, whatever works. And you've touched pretty much on all of that. And needless to say, I commend you, I salute you because, like I said, that you need to be in front of more people because of the fact that, you know, people need to hear it. And like I said, I mean, we're from two different generations, but we can relate, you know, and on many different levels. And that's what it is that, you know, you got people that's younger than us, you got people that's older than us that might be new into it, but I'm sure that the stories may still also sound the same. And also, let me see. Before I end it, I usually end it like this, and I know that you're gonna give out some really good gems. So if you could give any advice to the viewers that's contemplating getting clean and sober, that's early in sobriety, or like someone like myself that has, you know, 5 years but still searching, like what advice would you give them? Because they definitely need it.
Yeah, I love that question. First things first, you're worth it. That's the utmost that I can give you is you're worth it. Your life is worth it, and it can start today. Today could be the first day of the rest of your journey. Your life, whatever you want to, whatever word you want to put in there. With the time I have, sometimes I still struggle. You know, but I remember when I know that drink and drug is not going to be, it's not the answer because it's failed me every time. So stop kidding yourself. Open your eyes and realize that, yeah, I might have a problem. There's no shame in that game. See, that's what the guilt and my pride. I've seen pride kill more people than alcohol and drugs. That pride and ego, man, kept me out there for years, brother. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. It just is, you know. Whatever way you got to get there, reach out to either myself, to Ken, to anybody else on IG or wherever you got to go. There's no harm in reaching out. You know, whether it's church, like you said, church, whatever. Give AA a try. You don't like it? Go to another meeting. You don't like that meeting? Try NA. You don't like that? Go to CA. You don't like that? Go see a therapist. I've been to therapy. I've tried everything. I've tried multiple different religions. It's just, I kept trying.
Mm.
Now, I know you, I don't know if you heard this when you were in the military, because my DI used to tell me all the time, there's no such thing as trying. Either you're going to do it or you're not.
Right. I heard that, definitely.
So either I'm going to do this thing and give it a shot, or I'm not. Because the only person I'm lying to is myself. Like you said, your loved ones already know.
Mm-hmm.
The people in your community already know. And if you don't think they do, guess what? I'm here to tell you they do. Because they knew for me, they probably knew for you, they knew for everybody else that's tried this. You know, it's a day at a time, because that's all we're promised to. You don't got to make no lifelong commitments. I don't care what program you go to. There's no commitments unless you go into like a detox or rehab. Then it's X amount of days, but you could still always leave.
Yeah.
Give yourself a shot. That's all I can say is give yourself a shot. It's well worth it. In the beginning, it's hard. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I ain't gonna paint the fence white for you and say, yeah, here's your new. Nah, It's work, but it's well worth it.
Mm. Oh, definitely, most definitely. And again, and also, like I said it earlier, I'm gonna say it again. I truly appreciate I appreciate you reaching out to me and just saying, hey, how you doing? You know, that, like I said, sometimes that gets my day going. It's like, wow, okay, somebody's asking me how I'm doing. So I mean, and that goes further than not getting, you know, sometimes not getting any type of, you know, correspondence from anybody. You know what I
Correct.
mean? And like I said, I'm sorry. I don't mind it, because it's like you like I said, you never know, by just a simple sentence that can change your mind. It can change your thought process for the day, or if it's something encouraging like you have given me, and you can take it with you and carry it with you for the rest of the day. And that's what's most important. That's why I definitely wanted to have you on here, because I see it. I see the good. And like I said, this isn't going to stop. We're going to continue to communicate. So
Oh, hell
just
yes.
know, now that you've already, you know, gave me the invitation, I'm going to bug you a whole lot more.
Oh, you can
But
bug
like
me
I
all you
said,
want. I gave you my
yeah,
number, brother.
right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna text you mine too when we get finished as well. But
And I know where you live in Georgia, because I used to live there. So now you're really in trouble.
oh yeah, you, like I said, you more. Oh, hold on, you giving out the secrets? Oh, see, I ain't said nothing about it. It's okay, don't worry.
Oh, damn.
It's all right. The cat's out the bag now. It's all right. But no, I truly appreciate it, and definitely appreciate you taking time after, you know, working hard all day and then coming and talking to me. But like I said, this is another great. Oh, matter of fact, where can they follow you? I'm gonna put the
Uh,
link. I'm gonna put the link on
I'm
the
on
link I put on.
Instagram as NY Dave.
Okay.
Is that what I'm on there as? I can't. I'm also on Facebook. Is that too? Let me double check and make sure I ain't giving you the wrong stuff.
Yeah, because you
Da,
can.
da, 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 da.
Because
Yeah,
all
NY Dave 564 is on Instagram.
NY Dave 564.
Correct,
I'll
on
make sure I
Instagram.
put that in the description as well.
Yeah,
And then
no,
you
not
can
a
also
problem.
text me your Facebook link. And then
Okay.
when I do the editing, I put it on YouTube, I will also add that as well. But like I said, once again, Dave, congratulations, 27 years, 10 months sober. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the gems that you've, you know, supplied us with tonight. And like I said, once again, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys can see this episode as well as others on YouTube. All you have to do is type in 12 Faces of Sober, 12 Faces of Sober. You can get there. Like I said, you can follow Dave and myself. I'll have all those links in the description. So make sure you tune in. Like I said, this is what I doing this for. I do have a degree in communications and I'm trying to utilize it, but I'm doing it for sober people. That's what it's all about. Sober and clean people. And it's trying to get the positive message out there and having good people like Dave on the show. So once again, thank you again, Dave, for coming on. And this concludes another episode of 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast. You guys have a wonderful evening and try to stay clean and sober for another day. Take care.